It is another moment. Please allow me to take you through again a digestion. We are still talking about digestion. Remember, yesterday we talked about digestion in the mouth. Then we also talked about digestion in the stomach. But just to take you back, a quick recap. Remember, digestion takes place in 4 regions along the alimentary canal. Digestion begins in the mouth. Then after digestion has taken place in the mouth, then the food moves into the stomach, where still the food is broken down. Then the food moves to duodenum, which we are going to talk about. Then the last part, or the last region where digestion takes place, is in the ileum. Right. Now, 4 regions along the alimentary canal where digestion takes place. Digestion takes place in the mouth, takes place in the stomach, takes place in the duodenum, then the digestion ends in the small intestine. Are we together? Now, today please allow me to take you through digestion in the duodenum. Now, the food has moved from the stomach. Now it is heading towards the exit point, right? So from the stomach, the next stage where the food is going to be digested, where the food is going to be broken down into the body, is duodenum. Now we need to understand what is duodenum. Duodenum is the first part of small intestine, the upper part of the small intestine, or the first part of the small intestine. So duodenum is the first part of, let me write here, the first part or upper part of the small intestine. Now, duodenum is the upper part of the small intestine, right? Now we want to see what is happening in the duodenum during digestion. Remember, we define digestion as the breaking down of food into small and soluble particles that can be absorbed by the body. Now, duodenum is very close to these 2 organs. On the upper part of the duodenum, we have pancreas. Then on the other side of the stomach, we have the liver. Now, before talking about digestion in the duodenum, allow me to introduce a new concept here. We have 2 organs in the body that helps or supports digestive system. They are not part of a digestive system, but they support. There's a role they play during digestion. And these 2 organs, this is a very common question in an exam. Name or list 2 supportive organs of digestive system. We have the liver and the pancreas. Right. Now we want to have a look at the function of the liver and also the role of the pancreas as far as digestion in the duodenum is concerned. Now, duodenum, the upper part of the small intestine, or the first part of the small intestine, receives some secretion from the liver and also the pancreas. Receives some substances from the liver and the pancreas. So duodenum, let me write this. Duodenum receives secretion from two organs. So we are saying duodenum receives secretions from 2 organs, or receives substances which helps in digestion from 2 organs. And these 2 organs are, the first one is liver, then the second one is pancreas. pancreas. Now, you need to ask yourself a question. What are some of the substances that the duodenum receives from the liver? Or what is this substance that is being produced by the liver, and it really plays a role of digestion in the duodenum? And what is this substance that's being released by the pancreas, and it plays a role in the duodenum during digestion? Right. Now, the liver produce bile, or we can just say bile juice. Then the pancreas produce pancreatic juice. The pancreas produce pancreatic juice. So what are the two substances that the duodenum is receiving from these two organs? So it receives bile juice from the liver, then it also receives pancreatic juice from the pancreas. Now, these two juices are the one that helps in breakdown of the food into the duodenum. These two juices are the one that helps in digestion in the duodenum. And we are going to look at the function of each here. We are going to look at the function of the bile juice, then we're also going to look at the function of pancreatic juice and the role they play during digestion in the duodenum. Right. Now let's begin with the first one, pancreatic juice. Pancreatic juice. Pancreatic juice contains digestive juices, digestive enzymes, contain digestive enzymes. So pancreatic juice contain digestive enzymes. And remember, in our previous lesson, I remember, if I'm not wrong, I mentioned something like an enzyme, where we said enzymes, these are chemical substances in the body that helps to speed the process of digestion. These are just chemical substances in the body that helps to break down, speeds up the breaking down of food during digestion. Now, pancreatic juice contains digestive enzymes, and there are 3, and will allow me to list these digestive enzymes. Now, the first one, we have pancreatic amylase. Pancreatic amylase, that is the first digestive enzyme contained in pancreatic juice. Then the second one is pancreatic lipase. Then the third one is trypsin. Now, these are the 3 digestive enzymes present in the digestive juice. So the first one is pancreatic amylase. Remember, initially when we were talking about digestion in the mouth, there's a time where we mentioned a salivary amylase and the function of salivary amylase. Now, in the duodenum, inside the pancreatic juice, we have an enzyme called pancreatic amylase. Then we also have pancreatic lipase. Then we have an enzyme called trypsin. Further delays, inside the pancreatic juice, they also saw a salt called sodium. Let me write in full. Sodium hydrogen carbonate. There's a salt called sodium hydrogen carbonate. So in the pancreatic juice, we have 3 enzymes: pancreatic amylase, pancreatic lipase, trypsin, and also we have a salt and the name of this salt is called sodium hydrogen carbonate. Now, I want us to look at the function of each enzyme here, the role it plays during digestion in the duodenum. Let's begin the first one, pancreatic amylase. What did we say about amylase in the mouth? Amylase digests starch to maltose. Now, pancreatic amylase digest the remaining starch to maltose. Then pancreatic lipase digest lipids to fatty acids and glycerol. Then what is the role of trypsin? I remember I said this. Whenever you see an enzyme ending with IN, that enzyme breaks down protein, right? It breaks down protein to peptides. That enzyme digests protein. So trypsin digests protein to peptides. Then what's the role of the salt sodium hydrogen carbonate? To neutralize acidic chyme from the stomach. Now, we have looked at the three enzymes present in pancreatic juice. The first one is pancreatic amylase. What is the role of pancreatic amylase? To digest the remaining starch to maltose. It breaks down the remaining starch to maltose. Then the enzyme number 2, we have pancreatic lipase. What is the role of pancreatic lipase in digestion in the duodenum? Digest lipids to fatty acid and glycerol. Are we together? Fatty acids and glycerol, these are the smallest particles of fat or lipids. Lipids is the same as fats. Now it breaks down fats into its small particles, what we call fatty acids and glycerol. Then what is the role of trypsin? Whenever you see an enzyme ends with IN, that enzyme always digests protein, right? It breaks down protein into small particles of protein. So trypsin digests protein to peptides. Are we together? Right. Then also in pancreatic juice, it has a salt called sodium hydrogen carbonate. What's the role of this salt during digestion in the duodenum? The role of this salt is to neutralize acidic chyme from the stomach. Remember we said in the stomach environment is very acidic. Now, a mixture of food in the stomach is acidic because of hydrochloric acid in the stomach. So the environment in the stomach is acidic. Now the food has been digested. The remaining portion of the food is moving down to the duodenum. But remember, enzymes in the duodenum, pancreatic amylase and pancreatic lipase and trypsin, they cannot work in acidic environment, right? So an alkaline environment is needed to be created, or the acid which is coming from the stomach needs to be neutralized for these enzymes to break down food effectively. Now, sodium hydrogen carbonate neutralizes the food that is coming from the stomach to make it neutral, right? So that this enzyme can act on that food effectively. So sodium hydrogen carbonate neutralizes acidic chyme from the stomach. Then allow me talk about the second secretion the duodenum receives from the liver. So we have bile juice. Bile juice. We need to look at the function of the bile juice and the role it plays during digestion in the duodenum. I want you to listen to this. Bile is produced in the liver, then it's stored in the gallbladder. Then this bile is deposited in the duodenum to help in digestion. Right, that's why we are saying that the liver is just a supportive organ of digestive system. It does not digest any nutrients or any food, but it helps in digestion. So the liver produces bile, then this bile is deposited where? In the duodenum. Right, bile juice. Now we want to look at the role of bile juice. Bile juice is slightly alkaline. Bile juice is slightly alkaline. Now what is the role of bile juice during digestion in the duodenum? Very simple. So bile juice breaks down large fat into tiny fat droplets, into tiny fat droplets. In a simple term, in bracket, digest fat. Now one function of the bile juice, the main function of the bile juice, is to break down large fat into tiny fat droplets. In a simple term, bile juice helps in breaking down of fats or digestion of fats in the body. Are we together? And the process by which large fats are broken down into tiny fat droplets is called emulsification. Emulsification. So this process is called emulsification. So the breaking down of large fat into tiny fat droplets, it is called emulsification. So the role of bile is just to digest fat in the body. It breaks large fat into tiny fat droplets. The process, we call it emulsification. This is a very common question in exam. Define what is emulsification. Emulsification is the process by which large fat is being broken down into tiny fats droplets. This is what we mean by emulsification. Now, the second role of bile juice creates acidic, not acidic, creates alkaline medium, for effective functioning of enzymes. Then also neutralizes acidic chyme from the stomach. So the other roles for bile juice: creates alkaline medium for effective functioning of enzyme. Remember, pancreatic enzymes cannot work in an acidic environment. They need to work in alkaline environment. Alkaline is basic environment. So The bile juice creates that alkaline environment for effective functioning of these enzymes, pancreatic lipase, trypsin, and of course sodium hydrogen carbonate. Then also the bile juice neutralizes acidic chyme that is coming from the stomach. That food is that is coming from the stomach, it is slightly acidic. Now it needs to be neutralized for the enzymes to act on it effectively in the duodenum. So neutralizes acidic chyme from the stomach, right? Then creates alkaline medium for effective functioning of enzymes. Then the bile juice breaks down large fat into tiny fat droplets. In a simple term, digest fats in the body. This process of breaking down of large fat particles into tiny droplets, we call it emulsification. Are we together? Now, allow me just to do a recap of digestion in the duodenum. Digestion in the duodenum, it is very easy and requires you only to understand some simple tricks here. So duodenum receives secretion from two supportive organs of digestive system, and these two supportive organs of digestive system are the liver and the pancreas. So the liver produces the bile juice, which is deposited in the duodenum. Then the pancreas produces pancreatic juice, which is deposited in duodenum. Now, what is the role of pancreatic juice? Pancreatic juice contains digestive enzymes. Remember, we said enzymes, these are chemical substances in the body that speeds up the rate of digestion in the body. So contains digestive enzymes, 3 digestive enzymes. Pancreatic amylase. What is the role of pancreatic amylase? Digest the remaining starch to maltose. Remember, the breakdown of starch begins in the mouth. Good. Now in the duodenum, the remaining starch is being converted to maltose. Then the enzyme number 2, pancreatic lipase, digest lipids to fatty acids and glycerol. Whenever you see lipase, that enzyme digests lipids. Then trypsin, I said whenever you see an enzyme ending with IN at the back of your mind, just know that that enzyme digests protein. So trypsin digests protein to peptides, right? Then we also, in the pancreatic juice, we have salt called sodium hydrogen carbonate. The salt sodium hydrogen carbonate. What is this? The role of sodium hydrogen carbonate is to neutralize acidic chyme from the stomach. Are we together? Then we come to the second substance, what we call bile juice, which is produced by the liver, then deposited in the duodenum. A bile juice helps in digestion. A bile juice breaks down large fat into tiny fat droplets, what we call emulsification, the process of emulsification. Then also the bile juice creates alkaline medium for effective functioning of enzymes. Then also bile juice neutralizes acidic chyme from the stomach. Thank you very much for your time. Please, if this is the first time of you watching us, please consider subscribing, sharing the video, share as much as you can so that other people can benefit. Thank you. Let the God of heaven bless you.